Number 10. Not approved. Loving parents always want the best for their children, even if it goes against what they personally believe. But sadly, a lot of people never experience that kind of unconditional love from their families. In the summer of 2018, in the Indian city of Nalgonda, a father was infuriated after discovering that his daughter went against his wishes and married a man from outside their caste. If you aren't familiar, castes are forms of social hierarchies that are widely practiced in India and similar cultures. They're passed down through family lines that can be indicative of profession, status, and even who someone marries. While the Indian government has long since outlawed discrimination on the basis of castes, about 30% of the country's population still identifies with the traditional structured system. When the father from Nalgonda found out his daughter married someone he didn't approve of and who was outside their family's caste, his anger turned into violence. A CCTV security camera captured him running up to his new son-in-law and daughter with a sharp weapon before swinging at them. Apparently, the woman jumped in front of her new husband to try to save him from her father, but she was also injured. While not much information is known about the aftermath of the attack, the dad in this situation was supposedly charged for the crime. This disturbing case highlights the deep-rooted, existing social prejudices that remain from the age-old caste system in India. Even with newfound laws, citizens who go against their family norms are often still persecuted. Number 9. Ali Mawud Awad Ursan. Some fathers just can't accept that a man will never be good enough for their daughter. Take Ali Mawud Awad Ursan, for example. In July 2018, the 61-year-old Muslim American was handed the death sentence after he allegedly murdered his daughter's husband. Nadir Irsan, the man's son, has publicly supported his father and has claimed he's innocent, although evidence might indicate otherwise. Ali was accused of shooting Cody Beavers, as well as his daughter's close friend, Galare Bergazadeh, in Texas. His motive originated after Nesreen Erzan, his daughter, got married and decided to switch to her spouse's religion, Christianity. As a traditional conservative Muslim, Ali was likely outraged by this move, taking it as a personal slight against his faith. The reason he killed Galare too is because she played a large role in convincing Nesreen to marry Cody. The crime took place in January 2012. Police believe that Ali followed the young woman along with his wife Shamu and their other son Nasim. They allegedly shot Galare while she was in her car outside her parents' house. Then, about a year after the initial murder, Ali broke into Cody and his daughter's apartment and waited for Nesreen to go to work before shooting and killing his son-in-law. After Ali's conviction, his son Nadir has been extra vocal about finding a way to clear his father's name. He says that anyone who truly knows Ali understands that he's a good man. Unfortunately, though, when investigators dug into the suspect's past, they found more cause for concern that goes against Nadir's claim. In 1999, the man killed another man, Amjad Ali Dam, Ali's other daughter's spouse. It seems Ali just has it out for son-in-laws. Number 8. The MUSAIS. While holidays tend to bring people closer together, they also tend to trigger a lot of stress. On New Year's Day in 2020, a married couple from Melbourne, Australia was shot and killed. Police officers believe the person responsible for 29-year-old Vaitan Masai and 25-year-old Lindita Masai's deaths was none other than Lindita's own father, Osman Shabtafaj. According to investigators, the man shot his daughter and son-in-law before turning his weapon on himself and firing. The shooting took place during a New Year's party while multiple guests were at the newly married couple's home. It's possible that some kind of fight broke out between the family, resulting in the double homicide. The victims' bodies were discovered by investigators outside on their porch, and each of them had serious chest wounds. At first, Vaitan and Lindita were hanging on to life. First responders quickly transported them to the hospital for medical treatment, but sadly, they couldn't pull through. Osman also survived his self-inflicted gunshot to the head, but died later on. In response to the tragic murders, the couple's friends and family expressed their shock and grief at the situation. One of Vaitan's cousins made a post on Facebook that said, "How a father can take his own daughter's life is beyond comprehension, but the devil truly is among us." Number 7. CYNTHIA CDEBACA. When meeting your romantic partner's family, it can always be a bit scary at first. There can be a lot of pressure at times to make sure they approve of you and your intentions. In February 2014, A grandmother from California strongly disliked her daughter's husband, so she did what any deranged person would and killed him. Cynthia CDEBACA's distaste toward HUAJIAO began after she had a stroke and was forced to move in with her daughter, Laura Salinas. By staying close to family, Laura would be able to keep a close watch over her mom during her health recovery. But after the move, Cynthia quickly realized Jawar didn't deserve his wife. She watched him and her daughter fight constantly and allegedly witnessed the man physically abusing his son. Cynthia also claimed that Jawar broke some of the teenager's electronics in a fit of rage and sprayed water at people if they weren't behaving. Cynthia even stated that Jawar threw her deceased husband's urn away with the ashes still inside. And if that's not a reason to hate someone, we don't know what is. When the grandmother couldn't take it anymore, she decided to buy herself a revolver. A few weeks later, she went into the home's kitchen for breakfast. That same day, she planned on going to one of the grandkids' spelling bees, but she was mocked by Jawar, saying that she looked ghetto in her outfit. That was apparently the last straw, unleashing months' worth of pent-up rage. Cynthia calmly went to her room, grabbed the gun, came back out, and shot her son-in-law until her revolver ran out of bullets. After leaving Jawar bleeding out, the granny simply went to a nearby cafe and got herself some food. Then she went out gambling for a few hours before getting arrested. According to officers, Cynthia was thrilled when she found out Jawar was dead. She even waved her arms and cheered. During questioning, the woman claimed she'd do it all over again since he abused Laura and her grandkids. In March 2017, the granny killer was handed 50 years for the murder, basically a life sentence for the 65-year-old. Number 6. Richard Dennis. While some people don't have great relationships with their in-laws, there are many that do. For example, 37-year-old Christopher Bergen and his father-in-law Richard Dennis were very close despite living 4,500 miles apart. To surprise Richard for his 61st birthday, Christopher decided to fly all the way from Norway to Gulf Breeze, Florida. On a Tuesday night in 2019, Richard heard loud banging coming from his back door. Since it was pretty late, about 11:30 p.m., he was worried someone might be trying to break in. In order to protect himself, the man grabbed his gun and went outside to check things out. Suddenly, Christopher jumped out of the bushes. Impulsively, Richard fired at him, and a single shot hit his son-in-law straight in the head, according to the county sheriff, Bob Johnson. Sadly, the victim died instantly. When he got a second look at Christopher, Richard immediately called his family to tell them what he'd done. He was apparently inconsolable, trying to stop his son-in-law's bleeding by holding towels against the gunshot wound. Little did he know, Chris was already gone. The family reported the incident to the police, and thankfully, charges won't be pressed since Richard is likely already battling with enough guilt over the incident. Hopefully, one day, he'll be able to forgive himself. What do you think about this case? Is anyone in the wrong, or was this just a crazy accident? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, subscribe and join the Badger fam. Number 5. Martin MEYER ZELL. In 2010, a 49-year-old man from Neptune Beach, Florida was fatally shot in the back. Jeff Hess was the victim of the first murder his city has seen in 7 years. The person who killed him was none other than 70-year-old Martin MEYER ZELL, Jeff's former father-in-law. It wasn't exactly clear what led up to the homicide. While Jeff and Zell's daughter had gone through an ugly divorce a few years prior, it's unknown what would have sparked this kind of response. In a note left at the crime scene, Zell apologized for what he was about to do to Jeff, but he never said why he was doing it. Not long after the incident, the killer took his own life right before a SWAT team was about to capture him. A resident who lived in the duplex Jeff owned said that the man always seemed incredibly nice, and he had no clue why someone would want to hurt him. The victim even had 2 children with his ex-wife, a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old. It's tragic that these 2 innocent kids lost both a father and grandfather in this case of murder-suicide. Number 4. HUAJIAO ZHUANG. Some mothers have a strange dynamic with their sons. It's almost as if they raised them to be the man they never had. So when their child grows up and seeks out a romantic partner, a fit of strange and unsettling jealousy on the mother's side starts to form. In May 2012, a 21-year-old woman was brutally killed by her mother-in-law in Melbourne. 50-year-old HUAJIAO ZHUANG never liked her son's partner, Dan Selena Lin. She always believed that Lin stole her son away from her and had no respect for her. In reality, Lin likely felt as if ZHUANG was too controlling. This may have been true, considering the woman planned to live with the married couple, who simply wanted their own space. This animosity later cultivated into a bloody murder, with ZHUANG taking a hammer to Lin's head. The mother-in-law hit the young woman 33 times, bashing her skull in. Afterward, she simply dumped Lin's body at a nearby creek. It didn't take long for authorities to arrest ZHUANG. Her hatred of Lin wasn't exactly a secret, but the woman's defense team claims she only acted out of self-defense. They say that Lin actually swung the hammer first, but considering the severe disfigurement of the victim's body, this argument wasn't very successful in court. If ZHUANG was just defending herself, why hit Lin 33 times? In the end, the court passed down a guilty verdict. The murderous mother-in-law will have to spend at least 17 years in prison for what she did. Number 3. Diana NADELL. On January 24, 2014, a woman made her way to Washington, D.C. She told a few people that she was visiting the city for a wedding, but in reality, Diana NADELL had much darker intentions. She met Andrea Benson at the airport before the two went to New York together with one objective in mind: kill Peggy NADELL, Diana's mother-in-law. You might be wondering why the women were going after 80-year-old Peggy. Well, the answer was simple: money. Their target was apparently loaded, with an estate worth about $4 million total. Diana told Andrea that she'd give her some cash to help her take out Peggy, and she happily complied. Together, they murdered the elderly woman by beating, choking, and stabbing her, all for a quick buck. In court, Diana apologized to everyone that was affected by what she did. She said, "I am extremely sorry for any pain I may have caused, especially to my husband." The man in question, James NADELL, was not in attendance at the courtroom that day. The couple share 2 children together, and Diana reportedly claimed that she was trying to get her marital inheritance by taking Peggy's life. Instead of money, she got 23 years in prison, while her accomplice Andrea received 20. Number 2. Amanda Taylor. A distraught Virginia woman killed her father-in-law after her husband took his own life. 24-year-old Amanda Taylor truly believed that 59-year-old Charles Taylor was the catalyst for her spouse, Rex, ending his own life. Her lover suffered from drug addiction, and she believes he started taking substances thanks to either verbal or physical abuse from Charles. In August 2014, Rex passed away, and not long after, Amanda drove to the victim's home with an accomplice, 32-year-old Sean Ball, and stabbed Charles to death. Authorities arrested Amanda in North Carolina after she and Ball escaped the crime scene. The woman apparently turned on her helper though, critically injuring him before dumping him on the side of the road. She even posted about the crime on her Instagram account. She wrote that she committed the murder to avenge Rex. Amanda also asked her mom to take care of her 2 kids. It seems like she may have been planning to take her own life. In another message, she wrote, "I'm going to find my husband in hell and finally be at peace." Her plan failed though because a court sentenced her to life in prison. If Amanda had good intentions, vigilante justice is never the right answer. Number 1. John Birdwell. Some people just have really thick skulls, like 38-year-old John Birdwell. After a conversation at a bar in Fort Worth, Texas went south in mid-2022, John allegedly headbutted his 66-year-old father-in-law, Robert Bearden, and then killed him. The two were discussing John and his wife's marriage, which wasn't going well. Robert thought it'd be best if the couple got divorced and went their separate ways, so he was trying to get John to sign papers, making it official. A security camera from inside the bar captured their conversation and the sudden violent outburst. It seemed like the two were having a civil discussion when, out of nowhere, John headbutted his father-in-law 3 times. The victim quickly fell to the ground, and luckily, other people at the bar were able to pull John off the man. Sadly, it was already too late. Despite running away from the crime scene, police knew exactly what happened thanks to the security footage. There was no doubt about it, John was guilty. This incident happened in August of 2022, and an official sentence still hasn't been released. If only John had just signed the divorce papers, he might have had a chance at walking free. Now, he'll likely spend decades, if not the rest of his life, behind bars. Do you get along with your in-laws? Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Bad Badger. Bye!